when I was going to school, maybe you guys too, I mean, they didn't have a lot of this stuff. I mean, when we first started in Buffalo, it was just Alina. I mean, most of these families, one thing we learned when we started, and even still today, is that like, wow, I didn't know you guys were here. We've been going to the cities forever for this. And, and that's another reason why we wanted to go to Dassel, because there's a lot of competition in the cities. Not that we wouldn't want to compete with them, but there's enough already.
Right.
So that's why we want to hit these smaller towns to try to help them so they don't have to travel so far.
Yeah. Makes sense.
This is the Buffalo Community Podcast, all about the greatest small town in the USA, the people in it, and how it all works together. Here are your hosts, Tyler Reiss and Mark Benzer.
Hey everybody, it's Tyler Reiss here with the Buffalo Community Podcast. We're on episode, I believe this is 66, 65, somewhere around there. Again, we do multiple episodes in each day, but we've got co-owner of Strive Therapy Services, Gary Plowman.
Nice.
Got it? Nailed it? Oh, good.
Nailed it.
Perfect.
I've known you for a while. Gary, thanks for coming in today.
No problem.
Let's do the 30,000-foot view of what Strive Therapy Services are.
Okay.
They're located right downtown Buffalo.
That is correct. We do occupational and speech therapy. One thing that people don't realize is that we actually start at the age of 1 or younger, working on muscle tone and stuff, but we also go up to all ages. We see a lot of adults for speech, see a lot of adults for OT that maybe live in homes that are working on basic life skills. So pretty much from there, we see pretty much all ages for occupational speech. One big thing people always want to know is, do we do PT? We do not do physical therapy. We just do occupational and speech therapy with all ages.
So what would be the biggest difference between occupational therapy and physical therapy?
That's a good question. Normally, if my wife was here, that's a really good question, because a lot of people don't know what occupational therapy is. Everybody knows PT, everybody knows speech. And when you hear occupational, you're thinking, oh, they're going to help you get a job. It's not that. Occupational is kind of like a therapist. They do a little bit of everything. So with what we do, it all depends on each client, but we can pretty much do with ADHD, behaviors, basic life skills, sensory stuff. So like with the older ones, we work a lot with cooking. We have a washer and dryer. We have a oven. So they do some stuff like that. So it's a little bit of everything that OT does. It sounds weird, but they really do.
It's that occupational word.
Exactly.
In every other aspect of life is very much attributed to that employment.
Exactly.
Getting a job.
How do you, this sounds weird, like, because they're more than just customers or clients, I'm assuming.
Correct. We try to think as family.
Yeah. How does that introduction happen? I mean, is it referral or?
Yeah, a little bit of both. When we started 9 years ago, we had to really work ourselves to get to know the doctors in town, and then just kind of go from there. Now it's a lot. The doctors know us by a referral, because anybody that comes to us has to have a doctor referral.
Sure.
We can either send a form over, or they can talk to their doctor and then get that referral. So that's kind of the biggest thing, how to get to know us, is maybe talk to your doctor. Otherwise, now that we are been here for 9 years, clientele is pretty big too. That, the word of mouth is probably our next biggest thing. And like when I say, we also work with a lot of kids too, where it's just basic sensory stuff, zones, behaviors, and all that stuff too.
Yep. You mentioned your wife, Jamie, she's the therapist.
Correct.
You're the business guy.
Correct. So it's kind of funny, because a lot of people are like, hey, how do you guys work together? Because, you're together all the time. Do you guys, fight all the time?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You would
all
think.
The time. Yeah.
Dodgeball court.
Exactly. But to be honest, we do pretty good, because I do the business side, she does the therapy side, and then we work together on everything else. I mean, just like anything else, we always have little bumps, like, hey, I have this opinion. She's like, no, that's not going to work.
That's wrong.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
That's not right.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, she does more of the therapy. She went to UND. She's got her master's in that. For me, I just kind of worked my way up. I started in a machine shop, ran that for 15 years, and learned the business side that way. So when we started back in 2012, we're like, well, how are we going to do this? And, we just made it work that she did that, and I did more of the billing stuff, and I still worked. And as we got bigger and we moved downtown, I quit and took over more of the managing stuff of the office, of the business stuff. And then Jamie really worked on just the therapy. We also have a clinic in Dassel, Minnesota now too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's just growing. This is our third year. We only have one OT and one speech there that we're still trying to grow that a little bit yet.
Sure. So. What's been the biggest surprise?
I would say
going from machine shop to, of course, an OT and speech therapy business.
Put this nicely, machine shop, all guys. The way they work, how you can work with them, totally different. You can say things.
Yeah.
To therapy, it's all women. So it's a little different how you handle their workers and handle things.
Sure.
But, we have a great bunch of people. We have 2 full-time OTs. There is an OTR and a CODA. They're kind of like an LPN to a RN. And then we have 2 full-time CODAs and then 2 part-time CODAs and then 2 full-time speech in Buffalo. Just working with that, because there's a lot of other things that you got to deal with besides, guys, you just kind of tell them how it is, and sometimes they like it, sometimes they don't, but they move on. With girls, you got to be a little more sensitive how you put things sometimes. But
tell us a little bit more about, what do you like to do? You're resident here in Buffalo.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit more about you.
We have 3 daughters. Our oldest is a senior, graduating this year, and then we have twins that is 10th grade. So we like to hang out with the family quite a bit. We also have a cabin out by Litchfield and Hutch on Lake Manuela. So we actually go out there quite a bit, as much as possible, pretty much every weekend.
Cool.
And then, just like anybody else, go on our family trips. I got family in Wyoming, family in South Dakota. I had one in Kentucky for a while. All my brothers kind of all over. So Jamie's family's all right here, so we don't travel too much for the family on her side.
Sure.
But for mine, we do. And then, like I said, we like to kind of travel, kind of do our thing, sports, all that fun stuff. So hopefully that answers your question.
Absolutely.
It does. Checks the boxes.
Right.
Checks the boxes.
So anybody who maybe has been in town for a while would know that you guys are located in the old Kramer Ace Hardware
Correct.
building downtown. Is that where you guys started?
No.
No. Okay.
We actually started by
The old Subway.
Yeah, right by there, by CRS and
Oh, sure.
Moon's Donuts.
Moon Donuts. Yep, right there is where we actually
Dangerous
started.
place to go to work every day.
Yeah, it was a good place actually.
Yeah, right. No, yeah.
You could just walk to get food 24/7.
Yeah.
So that's where we started. We rented that for about almost 3 years. So then we found the building downtown with CRS's help, and that's kind of how we got started. And then we bought that one.
Oh,
So
okay, cool.
We actually own that building down there, and then the one in Dassel we are renting.
Sure.
So.
Being a downtown business, how is that? How do you feel about what's going on downtown? Anything that you would change or bring in?
That is a good question, maybe on here. I love downtown. Is there a lot of negatives? Yes. Is there a lot of positives? Yes. I do wish downtown would become, they would get a little more updated stuff downtown. Because it seems like, again, not to be too big, all the big businesses are slowly dying out downtown. So, it was up to me. I'd like to try to get downtown a little more, another like little Coburn's or something like that, or, Sterling is going down. They're nice to have for our kind of business.
Sure.
If you just need something quick, you can just run there and get it. Sometimes with the clients, we like just to run because they like to work on money. Just basic life skills, talking to people. So them places were kind of nice for us downtown that they could actually take clients to and, go get stuff. So
Sure. How about, the last year in the business, challenges? I mean, what was that like for you guys?
When we first started with COVID, it was kind of a challenge. Because telehealth for OT was not a big deal. They really don't. For insurance, they wouldn't cover that. So to get into that and kind of work that way for a couple months, where all of our therapists were working from home and doing therapy, with kids was kind of a challenge, and what insurance is going to cover that and what they cover and what they don't cover. And, you know, just like any other kid, when they're at home, they don't really want to sit in front of a TV or a computer. They want to run around. So that was a challenge for a while because to keep them in front of that was not the easiest thing.
Gotcha.
But I will say it has gone pretty good for us. We, you know, we opened up in June 1st. So ever since then, we have been open the whole time. So COVID has actually gone
2020.
For 2020, yep.
Oh, yeah, we're not even in June. I'm an idiot.
Nope, that's all right. We're close. So it actually has been a really good year for us. I mean, we, you know, how can you say, like, knock on wood, you know, I think anxiety has really picked up. So that is something that we do see a lot of right now. We do see a lot of the middle-aged kids kind of hitting that and have to work on that for a couple months.
Like middle school age kids? Yep.
Yeah. So, because, you know, and that's the biggest thing is we try to tell parents too, because we only have so many spots open in the afternoon and it's hard. You really want to hit some of this stuff as early as possible and get to us because most likely you're going to be a morning client and you don't really want to take a kid out of school when they are middle school or high school.
Right.
Because, you know, it just makes it tough for everybody then, and especially the client.
Right. So you're seeing anxiety and handling some of those issues in your business right now?
Yes, that's
and you have to have a referral.
Correct.
And so those people are getting referred to you over maybe this is a question for Jamie, but over a counselor or a psychologist or, you know, something of that nature. Is that is that based on the various levels of anxiety where they say, you know, based on, you know, maybe these are milder symptoms that could be handled? I wouldn't know, but.
No, you're right on. Yeah, it is pretty much somebody like that. Or they go to their doctor and say, hey, you know, this is kind of kicking in. You know, what can we do? What's out there to help us? And the doctors here pretty much from Stella's to Alina, we have good connections with both clinics. So, you know, you talk to your doctor and they will pretty much give you a referral to us. Or, again, you know, you have like a neighbor or a friend that their kid is doing it and all of a sudden they're with us and they're like, oh, go try this place. And then they'll call us and say, what do they need? And we'll let them know that. You know, a referral is, you know, and it's funny because some parents are like, what? I don't have a primary. We don't see a main one. I have to do that to come to you? I'm like, yeah, you do. You got a doctor has to sign off for insurance. This is an insurance thing.
Sure.
Okay. You answered my next question. Why is that? I mean, anything tied with the healthcare industry it bugs me because jumping through all these loopholes.
And now this is the part that I deal with a lot because I deal with insurance.
Yeah.
Pretty much I do all that. So, and that is the biggest thing is insurance for them because,
health insurance market. Yeah.
And then you're like
with home and auto.
It's probably the same. You're on the phone for like an hour and you don't get anywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 hours you find someone that matters.
Sure. Yeah.
But that is the thing. It's, you know, the doctor, because insurance looks at it, they don't want just anybody coming to us because they might think that we just pull people off the street and say, hey, you need therapy. Is the only way I can really explain it.
Probably not a bad idea because maybe most of us do.
Correct.
To some extent.
Yeah, I'll be honest. You know, like machine shop is definitely different than what I do now. But one thing I've learned about myself is I'm not that I diagnosed myself, but I'm pretty sure I have ADHD.
Sure.
Because you probably won't see it here, but I'm always twiddling like with a pen. Something.
I noticed it.
Yeah. So I got to move a lot. And I learned that just by working with these kids and my wife and the other therapists. And yeah.
Sure.
So it's amazing what you do kind of see and you learn when you're around certain people and, you know, the people you're around.
That kid is like me. Wait a second. Yeah.
Sad part, you're right on the money.
Yeah.
That was me when I was younger.
I mean, when you said that, you've been on a swivel right here, quite literally.
Yeah.
But I mean, you kind of haven't, because I just hear it in the microphone.
When it's tapping?
But yeah, which is fun. Which is fine.
So knock it off.
Yeah. Jeez. We'll get you a referral. Go get some therapy there. Call Jamie up.
Trust me, she said that a few times.
You're like,
Mark,
wait, you're not working on me right now, are you?
Yeah. As I'm sitting there, my pen, I'm really bad at that. At the very end, click, 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 click.
Yeah.
It's like, get that pen out of here. So then she'll go get me a little star to squeeze for a while.
There you go.
I love it.
So, I mean, it's kind of cool that, you just, when I was going to school, maybe you guys too, I mean, they didn't have a lot of this stuff. I mean, when we first started in Buffalo, it was just Alina. I mean, most of these families, one thing we learned when we started, and even still today, is that like, wow, I didn't know you guys were here. We've been going to the cities forever for this. And, and that's another reason why we wanted to go to Dassel, because there's a lot of competition in the cities. Not that we wouldn't want to compete with them, but there's enough already. Right. So that's why we want to hit these smaller towns to try to help them so they don't have to travel so far.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Kind of just, I mean, again, until you're in it, you don't realize the need you're filling.
Correct.
And then just if you can go 30 miles west, well, that really opens up people 60 miles west to come to you.
Exactly.
To say the quite obvious.
Yep. What are parents, you mentioned you work with kids as young as like 1.
Yep.
What are parents seeing in those situations where, or maybe it's something a doctor is seeing more than a parent is saying, you might not know it, mom and dad, but this is a problem that needs to be addressed. What's that situation like?
Like you said, it wouldn't be parents at that point. It'd be a doctor. And most of the time, if they're about 1 to 2, I mean, we've even done a little bit younger, but then it's more like muscle tone.
Sure.
I don't have it with me, and Jamie would know more, but there's a list of what they should be doing on each month, every age. So like muscle tone is like, by the time they turn 1, they should be crawling. They should be able to sit up kind of a little bit. And if they're not, again, I'm not a therapist, I might be off exactly on times and dates here.
Yeah.
But again, that's muscle tone will be mostly when they're younger. And as they get older, people just kind of see, like, a lot of times they'll go do the preschool checkup. And then when they go in, they'll be like, you really need to maybe see an OT or speech.
Sure.
Again, speech, everybody knows. I mean, either you can't say a letter,
right,
or there's certain, at a certain age, that has a thing too. By the time you turn certain ages, you should be able to do so many letters. You should be able to do so many words in a row. You should be doing so many sentences that stuff like that. I mean, again, I'm not a therapist, so I don't know exactly, but there is a kind of a line for that.
Can I ask more of a, again, it might be a Jamie question.
Yep.
But like, as a parent, we got young kids, and if how is it always taken great from, hey, your kid needs some therapy? We would suggest some therapy. I mean, is it being cut off before they get to you, or do you get, again, I don't want to overstep any bounds, but like saying, my kid doesn't need any therapy. My kid, no, I don't think there's a problem.
Correct.
It's you that think he has a problem.
Correct.
I mean, do you get all that pushback, but by the time they get to you, maybe not so much?
No, that's a good question. It's about 50-50.
Okay.
Because, as guys, we're always like, they'll grow out of it.
I'm thinking exactly
Suck it up, little one.
Yeah.
And again, and that's what I've learned quite a bit just from a machine shop to a therapy clinic. So a lot of times, again, I'm just going to put this out there, that a mom usually will see it before a dad, or believes in it more than the dad.
Sure.
I mean, we've had some where the dad just is like, no. And then the mom comes in and just like, we got to stop because dad don't believe in it. And that happens.
It's got to be hard.
It is, especially when you want to just help the kid as much as possible. Because and then let's be honest too, it doesn't help with insurance with deductibles right now. Deductibles and out-of-pockets are so high that to have a kid come in, like when we first started, basic life skills, sensory, and handwriting is kind of what we worked on with a little bit of behavior. But who's going to pay $3,000 to have your kid come in and do a little bit of handwriting and work on that when they're like 7 and 8? Because you're like, they'll grow up, they'll figure it out. I ain't gonna, so that is the big one. So it's a good one to talk about because as a parent, there is always a lot of pushback because, like, I just talked to a dad, that kind of same deal. I just talked to him. He had questions. The school told him that we believe your kid is maybe autistic. Not sure. Would like to see him get tested. The dad and the mom are like, whoa, kind of blown away by that. Yeah. But as they have researched it now and read a little more, and they see it, he's like, I'm not 100% invested yet, but I am starting to see where they're coming from.
Sure.
And then, when I talk to them, because that is something that I do more, is to tell them about insurance and what they're looking for and how to go ahead. They feel a little more comfortable. Does that always happen? Not always.
Sure.
You know, because everybody's going to have their take on therapy. It's still therapy. You know, people are like, my kid shouldn't be in therapy.
We need to come up with a new word.
Yeah.
Something with less.
Should be called fun time.
Fun.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest, when they're doing OT, I mean, we have a huge gym. I don't know if you guys been down there. The building inside is a lot bigger than you think. Mm-hmm. I mean, our gym, I always say it's about the size of about a basketball court, maybe a little bigger. And to be honest, the kids are in there just playing. They don't even know they're doing therapy. The way they turn it and they twist things and do things, they're actually thinking they're coming in. Like a lot of kids love it because they're just thinking they're coming in to play. Mm-hmm. And they don't, they don't see now speech. On the other hand, you can only play so much, and then you got to really start working on your tongue, your mouth, your words. And so, fun therapy is maybe, or just fun OT is what it should be called.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because most adults don't know what OT is, and then all of a sudden, the kid's not going to know.
Right. Correct.
But, you made a good point there, because I'd probably fall into that camp of like, you're just playing.
Correct.
But you actually see the development of increasing those skills, and on the outside in. It's a lot easier being on the outside thinking, just being ignorant to it. But when you guys are entrenched in it every single day, I mean, definitely kind of opens my eyes a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, and then you get the ones with the behaviors that you just, as a parent, they just know, they're having trouble at school, they're kicking and fighting. And our biggest thing is when people come in and say they have behavior issues or something, we're a big believer that there's always something behind that. You know, just like when you think about you're in school, them kids that big time behaviors is because they are maybe struggling in school. Maybe they weren't good at this, so they want people to know. So they found other ways to get out of it and make themselves look different. Mm-hmm. So that's what we believe. That's our big belief. That because when we first started, behaviors were not accepted by insurance a lot of times. You'd have to kind of twist it a little bit to get them to pay for it. Sure. But now with everything that's gone on, and there's a lot more behaviors out there. And again, behaviors falls in a lot of categories. Mm-hmm. That sensory stuff, which, sensory could be they just don't like the sound, taste, feel. And they do that, and then they all of a sudden feel something, and it freaks them out, and they get mad. Sure. Mm-hmm. So when I say behaviors, I don't want everybody to think, you're saying a lot about behaviors, but it falls in a lot of categories.
Sure. Yeah. Not just
bad behavior.
Naughty children.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it. Boy, I had such a good question teed up.
That was great.
It was going to be.
Thank you so much for asking.
Yeah, it was.
All right, that's where you drop the mic. Time
Right.
to go.
Exactly.
So, as we're kind of winding down, Mark might come back to this one. Okay. Kind of winding down. If you had to give a message to the audience, all 250,000 listeners here.
Wow, I thought it was 1 million, but I'll take it.
Yeah, it's been a down spring.
Okay. COVID.
Everybody's trying to start their own dang podcast. What would that be?
I would just tell, hey, just be open. Trust your doctors, trust your friends. And, when you come to us, trust our therapists. We're going to also tell you the truth. I mean, if it's you come in and we feel like we don't need to see them, we do say that. It ain't, we have to do an eval before we even start seeing them. Just kind of trust everything you see. And, even if it's anxiety or if your kid's just struggling, anything, don't be afraid to reach out and talk to somebody and find out what they need. Because it doesn't always need to be us. Sometimes just family therapy or just counseling a little bit. We all kind of fall in that category a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of answers the question maybe a little. Jamie would probably be better at that because that's more of the therapy.
Today's theme is Jamie would probably be better at that.
That also works for a married couple too.
Yeah. It's kept you married so long.
Exactly. Yeah, my 20 years coming up.
Oh, congratulations. Gary, thanks so much for coming in. Mark, did you get that question thought of?
No.
I'm sure the second we turn this off, you'll think of it.
Yep.
But Gary, thanks so much for coming in.
No problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Gary.
I'm Tyler Reiss with the Buffalo Community Podcast.
I'm Mark Benzer.
Oh, I'm Gary from Strive Therapy.
Yes.
My favorite part of the show.
Yeah, absolutely.